Let's talk about protein today and why we need adequate protein in menopause. Also, what are we talking about when we talk about protein and how much do you need in menopause? So, protein is one of the three major macronutrients that we need from our foods. The macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Today, we're just going to talk about protein and then we can talk about fats and carbohydrates on another day. Now, you may have heard that protein is necessary for energy, it's necessary for building muscle, it's also necessary for helping us to manage blood sugar, blood glucose. Also, it helps to control hunger, and to some extent, it helps to keep our metabolism going. Now, in menopause, our needs for protein increase. And here's the reason why. In menopause, estrogen declines. As estrogen declines, we lose muscle mass. That is known as sarcopenia. We also lose bone density, and that puts us at a higher risk for things like osteopenia, which is just one stage before osteoporosis. We also lose muscle strength and we lose muscle power. And the body also becomes slightly inefficient at managing blood glucose. Now, protein helps us when it is combined very well with strength training mostly. It helps us to improve lean muscle mass. Lean muscle mass helps us to maintain our bone density, and that's when we add strength training to it. And it also helps us to keep our strength and our muscle power. Also, protein helps us to manage blood sugar because muscle is one of the biggest consumers of blood glucose or blood sugar. So when we have eaten something, there will always be a spike in blood sugar, always. It doesn't matter what you eat, whether you eat a carbohydrate, a protein, or a fat. Your body will always spike blood sugar because that is energy. And then it will call upon insulin, which is the hormone that comes to drive that blood sugar or glucose into the muscles to be used as energy. Muscle is the biggest consumer of that blood glucose. We call it the glucose sink. So it helps us to manage that blood sugar. So all those things, as estrogen is declining, we need to pay more attention to how our body is managing our muscle, our bone, our blood sugar, our strength, and also hunger. Because when you're always hungry and you're always looking for food, the more you eat, the more you spike your blood sugars. So we want to keep those blood sugars at an even level. As I said, there will always be blood sugar spikes, but we want to keep them to the minimal. So when we talk about protein, what are we talking about? People always ask me, is peanut butter a good protein? Unfortunately, it isn't. Now, I'm not saying that you will never have peanut butter again. You can use peanut butter as an emergency. You can have a snack. You can have maybe a banana and some peanut butter because that's going to slow down the release of that blood sugar. You can also have a protein bar, and you might also see some things like collagen say that it has protein. Now, for a protein to be a good quality protein that will help us build muscle, help us maintain bone, help us build strength, and also help us manage blood sugar, we need a high quality protein. And what makes a high quality protein is the amino acids that it is made up of. Now, there are 21 amino acids. 9 of those are said to be essential amino acid. When you hear anything said essential in our nutrition, it means that our body does not create it or cannot make it out of the other combinations of so many things. So we have to consume it through our food, and we have to continually replenish it. So you can't say, I'm going to consume 9 essential amino acids today and I'm not going to consume them again for another week. No, we have to continually replenish. So those 9 amino acids are known as essential because we do not make them. And in fact, there is one which is really highly important for us in menopause, it's known as leucine, because leucine is what helps us to build muscle. So it is among the 9 essential amino acids, but that one is really key and we need to pay attention to it. So something like peanut butter, a protein bar, collagen does not have those 9 essential amino acids, and therefore we don't call it a high quality protein. Things like fish, chicken, meat, eggs, tofu, tempeh, beans, legumes, all those gives you those high quality proteins. So that's what you want to be looking for. Now, why do, as I said, our needs increase in menopause? So, what's the recommended amount of protein that you need to take? The daily recommendation, the guidelines, the government guidelines say that we need 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, that is really low. That's just essential for you to function as a human being. It keeps you alive, but it doesn't help you with all the other things that you need, like muscle building. And especially in menopause, we've realized that we're losing muscle. As estrogen is going down, we're losing muscle, we're losing bone. So we do need to make sure that we are getting adequate amount of protein. So the recommendation for people in menopause, people in midlife, is about 1.2 grams per 1 kilogram of body weight. Now, I would say in menopause, go a little bit higher than that. And there's a reason for that. I will let you know in a minute. Another calculation that you can use is 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of desired body weight. Notice I said desired. So let's say you weigh 160 and you want to train, you want to strength train, you want to eat well, you want to manage your sleep so that you can lose maybe 30 pounds, because maybe 130 is your sweet spot. We all have a sweet spot where we feel comfortable. Our clothes fit comfortably. We can get up and down from the floor without having to huff and puff. We feel we are at a good weight. So that's our desired weight. So take 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of desired body weight. That means that if you're aiming for 130, you're going to take 130 grams of protein per day. Now, the reason why I highly recommend taking a little bit more in menopause is because we have something known as anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance means that our body is also having a very hard time digesting and absorbing that protein. So when let's say a 20-year-old person, 20-year-old man, woman, whatever, eats a steak, we'll go with a steak, it's simple, they might absorb maybe 80% of that protein. For us in menopause, we might just be absorbing 50% or 60% of that protein, depending on the quality of the protein. Our body, again, as estrogen is declining, our body has a harder time assimilating that protein. That's known as anabolic resistance. So we need a little bit higher, because we are not going to be consuming, we're not going to be digesting and assimilating all that amount that we are supposed to be assimilating. So the numbers again is 1.2, I would go in menopause, I would go 1.4, 1.5 grams of protein per 1 kilogram of body weight. Or another calculation that you can do is 1 gram of protein per desired body weight. Now, what are we talking about when we talk about protein? We're talking about things like meat, we're talking fish, chicken, eggs, tofu. Cheese has some protein if you do eat cheese. Yogurt has protein. Or if you also take milk, milk has some protein. You can also use tofu. You can use beans, lentils. So all those are the proteins that you're supposed to be adding into your meals. Now, how can you make sure that you're getting adequate protein? The first thing you want to do is to have a high protein breakfast. And there's a reason why we recommend a high protein breakfast. This is because the morning time is when your muscles are really looking for something to absorb. So you've been fasting for 12 hours, hopefully. Fasting, I mean overnight, that you haven't eaten anything overnight. You didn't get up to eat. So let's say you ate at 8 p.m. and you finished your meal at 8 p.m. You did everything, went to bed, and now you're back again in the morning at about 8 a.m. That's when you want to have your breakfast. So you are breaking your fast. Whether you are fasting, as you know, people say technically fasting when they want to really fast, or you're fasting because you are asleep, that is still fasting. So you're breaking your fast. That's what breakfast means. That time your muscles are really eager to get something in them. And if you give them something that is not of high quality, let's say you give them a sugar that absorbs very quickly, that blood sugar will rush into your bloodstream. Insulin will come in, scoop that away, and very soon you'll be very hungry. So let's say we have a cookie for breakfast. That is just pure sugar. There's nothing wrong with a cookie if you want to have cookies but don't have them fasting in the morning, because that will spike your blood sugar really high, and insulin will come up, scoop that very quickly out your blood sugar, because your body does not like blood sugar running around in the body doing nothing. No, it doesn't like that. It likes that pushed into the muscles, pushed into your cells immediately. So when that happens, within an hour, 30 minutes, you'll be hungry again and you'll be looking for something again to eat. But when you have a high protein breakfast, high quality protein, blood sugar is released very slowly from that protein, because it also takes longer to digest. It takes longer to bring that glucose out of that food. So when insulin comes in, it also does a really gentle sweep of that blood sugar. It's not going to spike it and then down again. It's really slow release. That keeps you fuller for long, and that keeps your blood sugar at very good rates. It's not yo-yoing up and down, because remember that each time you eat, your blood sugar spikes up. It doesn't matter how high it spikes, and then it will have to eventually come down. Now if you're hungry half an hour after that, again you're spiking it up, so you keep this yo-yoing up and down. But if you have a high quality protein, then it's a slow release. It's like burning. The difference between burning twigs for a fire and burning logs. So when you have big logs that you're burning in on a fire, it keeps going for so long. You can even have that fire overnight. But if you're burning twigs, little newspapers and little pieces of wood, you have to keep replenishing that fire with the twigs, because they burn very quickly. It's the same thing with your food. So in the morning, have a high quality breakfast with high protein. That means maybe about 30 grams of protein for your breakfast, maybe about even 40 grams of protein. It's not a problem to go a little bit more than, let's say, 30 grams. If you're intending to divide your proteins by 30 grams, you can actually maybe have a little bit more for breakfast. So aim for a high quality breakfast with high quality protein in the morning, and then divide the rest of the protein numbers. Let's say we are aiming for 130, so we say, for example, we'll have 40 grams in the morning for breakfast, and then now we have 90 grams to play around with for the rest of the day, and we're going to divide that by however number of meals we're going to take. Maybe you're taking 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, so you can divide that in that number. Another thing to make sure that you're doing is to prepare your meals, because you don't want to be looking for food. When we start to look for food, we make bad decisions. We just get what's there. So plan your meals. Make sure that you know what are you having for lunch, dinner, and even your snacks, if you're going to have snacks. Planning your meals helps you to also look at that protein and see what you're having, and making sure that you're having high quality protein. Another way to make sure that you're getting high quality protein and adequate protein is to track your protein. Maybe just for 2 weeks, track your protein to give you an idea of what you need. So you might get a free app. Things like MyFitnessPal has a free app. Chronometer has a free version, so you can track your protein, even if it's just for 2 weeks, to get an idea of what you're getting. Now, If you do not have the right protein, this is the time maybe to get a supplement like a protein powder, high quality protein powder. And how do you know that it is high quality? Check to make sure that it has those 9 amino acids that I mentioned. And then also make sure that it's from a good company, a company that has their products third party tested, that is making sure that that's a good protein. So you can have your protein powder, maybe substitute one meal during the day, maybe evening, whatever you want to substitute that meal for, if you don't have all your other meals ready. Also, make sure that you also track that. If you're tracking your protein, make sure that you're also tracking your protein powders and making sure where you're substituting, because you don't want to be having all 3 meals as protein powders. That's not good. So, big question: is peanut butter protein? No, it isn't. It is an emergency. It is an emergency. Is your protein bar a good protein? As an emergency. Don't use it as your main protein. Track your protein powders. Track your protein. So let me know if you have any questions. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And I hope I answered your questions about protein. If you have any questions, you can always leave comments down below. And also please hit that subscribe button and share this with someone else who is in menopause. Take care.